One set.
Camera rolling.
Sound.
The good, the bad, and the just plain standard. Take one.
Salut.
Hey!
All right.
Welcome back to the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast, where we provide you with our informed opinions on movies we watched together. We are your hosts,
Adam.
Anouk?
and Yann. Today is all about it.
What about it?
Sex.
That's the first joke. Yeah.
I'm more happy that I actually remembered that I go first in the introduction this time.
Yay!
Starring
Bill Skarsgård, Finn Wolford, Sophia Lillis, and other people. Jaden Lieberher, Jake Dylan Grazer, Wyatt Olive, Owen Teague, Chosen Jacobs. What a great name. Chosen Jacobs. Shout out. Nicholas Hamilton and Jackson Robert Scott playing Little Georgie.
Yeah.
Little Georgie.
First acting gig. Well, second. The first one was a Criminal Minds episode.
Oh, well, he's doing pretty well for himself. He's like 5 years old.
That kid was pretty good. I quite like
He
that.
was very strong.
All right, so shall we begin with? I want to talk about first because this is the second movie actually that we all watched together at the cinema. We usually do that for a recent release. We all get together and we go and see it. DVDs, we're like we can watch it on our own and come together. But as of today is the 8th. Today is the 8th of September. So it came out today. So we went to see it at 2:30, which was relatively maybe the first or second screening of the movie. Probably the second, because we start about 11.
There was a massive queue outside the screen.
This is the first time in Glasgow that I've had to queue for a movie before going in. I used to have to do that in Dunfermline, where I'm originally from.
Shout out.
Because we always got there early because we had to drive to the place. And my mum loved to be super early.
You small towners.
Yeah, small towners. So the movie cinema is pretty packed. And it was a good experience. However, I have a big gripe straight off the bat because it's standard rules in the cinema, right? They're called cinema etiquettes. If anyone listens to Kermode reviews, they are patrons of the cinema rules of etiquette, which I abide by because they make sense. Phones. I don't know about you guys, but as time has gone on, I remember being a kid when you had to turn off the phone. That was the thing. And now most people just put it to airplane mode, which I'm totally fine with. But don't get the phone out in the middle of the movie.
I only put it on airplane mode because it takes like shorter time to put it on airplane mode rather than like turning it off.
Yeah, because airplane mode, automatically you don't get any receiving calls and nobody can message you.
Right.
Like, nobody can get in touch with you, so your phone's not going to go off, so it isn't going to disturb the peace. But the thing is, if you bring your phone out and I can see the glare, it takes me out of the movie. And I saw 4 phones throughout the screening of it, 2 of which were in the row that we were sitting in. I'm talking to you, blonde young girl who was probably not 15 and should not have been seeing this movie, right? I swear to God, I wanted to pick up your phone and throw it at the screen. I was so annoyed. I don't care if you're on Snapchat, right? What is so important in your life that, oh my God, it's so scary that you have to tell everyone? What is going on?
It's only 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Let me put a dog filter on so that everyone can see I'm scared. Jesus Christ, man. And then there was another person in front. This one I'm okay with because it was like they must have dropped something. So they like had the backlit to see where they were going, like what seat they went to sit.
But that is so bright.
Yeah, like at least put night safety mode on. Like every phone now has that unless you're my father and still has a Nokia. Actually, that's not true. My dad did have a Nokia, but they cut off cellular coverage. So apparently Nokia bricks are like, they cut them off. So he had to get a flip phone. So like he's now one of the extras in The Wire.
So you were not immersed enough in the thing that you noticed because I did not notice anything.
It's like I sometimes move about because I am a fidgeter, which is annoying. But I moved and it's like, you know, if you see something and then you can't not see it. So as soon as I saw one, if I saw the light again, I was like, oh, for God's sake. And honestly, she was either checking the time or checking her messages. And I know that she was on Snapchat before the movie started, so I'm, like, not happy. Who's Snapchatting in a movie theater?
That's so ridiculous.
Who are you? Who are you, girl? I'm not happy at her.
Especially because, you know, we are actors and we've pretty much, we want to be in the industry and in these films, and to know that people just kind of watch it like it's kind of nothing. Like, also, wait till it's out on DVD then.
Yeah, that's what I said
What is
to
your
Anouk. I'm
problem?
like, if you can't sit for 2 hours and 15 without getting your phone out, just wait till it's on streaming or DVD, because then you can do it all you like, and I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, that's right.
It annoys me as a creative, I think, seeing anything creative and seeing people just kind of take it for granted.
Not being interested.
It's annoying because do you know how hard these people work? Like, I know it's like the cinema and it's so kind of, you have how many screenings a day and it's so easy for you to kind of come in and out, but...
Anouk, do you want to tell the listeners about our experience at Shawshank Redemption, the stage play?
So, as you've probably noticed, and I've probably said a few times, me and Adam are a thing, and I was...
Sorry, ladies.
So, yes, apologies.
Sorry, girl.
I stole him from every...
Sorry, girl who was
one
on
of you women.
Snapchat. I'm actually secretly negging you.
Yeah, so we went to the stage play of Shawshank Redemption in Glasgow's... What theatre production was it?
It was the...
Queen?
No, it was the King's Theatre.
King's Theatre.
The one near the Conservatoire. I believe it's in the TG Theatre. I think it's the King's.
King's Theatre. And it was good. I mean, the first act was a little bit slow and energy was quite low, but they picked up in the second half and we were actually really enjoying it. But the really famous monologue made by Morgan Freeman in the film was done with one guy on a chair in pretty much center stage, and 2 phones went off mid-monologue. And it just ruins the whole aesthetic of it because you're feeling it, you're in it, you're involved. And even in film, when sometimes, because it's a screen and they're not actually there, there's a bit of a disconnect. You're still immersed in a film, as Yann was saying, like, you usually don't notice these things. Yeah. But the thing is that either way, you're immersed in something. And if you don't have your phone on silent, at least on silent.
It just goes to show how dependent people are on phones.
It's so ridiculous because, especially because we've been on stage a few times, and having a phone go off while you're on stage is the worst thing in the world because, especially if you're in theatre, you're there as well, acting your arse off, working so hard. I think a lot of people forget that entertainers work.
Yeah,
we work hard. We're not just doing it for this is our job. We do this every day, and we work our fucking asses off for you guys. So we want a little bit of respect in it.
That's the force of habit also, because the fringe audience is well versed in all that, because in the full month we did, I don't recall any kind of phone troubles.
Here's what happens. Because it was the second act of the play, people go out for the interval, check their phones. They don't turn them off again. People forget because they rush back to their seats because it's like, the show is about to resume. Please take your seats.
Especially the older part of the audiences, because, they're not on their phones all the time, so they forget.
The other thing is, like, if one phone goes off, you're going to check. I check. If my phone's in my pocket and I hear somebody's phone go off, I'm like, oh shit, is mine on? And it's not, because I'm aware. I don't put it on at the interval because I know I'd forget.
But that's just the first stage, because there are some people who actually take the call.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I have been in a cinema when someone actually answered the call. And it's kind of been this, sorry, I can't talk right now. And it's like, sorry, what were you, like, no, no, just no. There's no reason why you had to pick up that phone.
Oh, that's worse than, the movie's shit anyway. So how's your,
God.
How's your day been?
I am so happy that I haven't been in that situation before, but I can imagine it would send me reeling.
If I was on stage, like, that's a point as an actor, you can. Could you break the wall for that? I would.
I think it depends on the theatre production, because actually, if you're at the Fringe, like what we were doing last year, is kind of thrust like three rows. There's not many people.
Yeah.
And you were doing one monologue, which a few of us were, and it's only you, and a phone goes off. I would definitely just turn around and maybe make a joke or...
Well, it depends on the piece, I guess, because in improv and comedy, it's actually it becomes part of the thing. But in a theatre play, when you are actually a character...
If you were doing a Shakespeare, you could maybe get away with it. maybe if you
An aside?
if you were that well
we're
versed in the Elizabethan Shakespearean language,
Yes.
I would love to do that. I would love to have the skill of that language to be able to go, I shall take the call. Messenger has arrived. Young squire, please let me inform you of the deeds of this tale. I'm sorry, it cannot wait, my lord. Something like that.
That would be amazing.
My lord, I've just received a message, and it seems one of the players has
Can
too.
switch it, but I mean, there's a YouTube video of this that me and Adam were watching of someone's Nokia going off, and it was the classic Nokia ringtone. And they were at a recital, and it was a guy on the violin, and so he just stops his piece and plays the Nokia ringtone
on his cello.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Check it out.
I've seen it.
We'll put a link in the podcast.
Oh, it's so well timed because it's just, and you could see the anger in his face. Like, you have just ruined the most beautiful music, and I've put so much effort into this. You know, I'm not just here. You know that I've done this like for 5 seconds of my life. Like, musicians work their fucking asses off. And then you can't even turn your phone off. Oh, it's just...
And that concludes the public address part of the
so
Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard.
Oh,
so
yes, apologies.
People answering their phones or checking their phones in the cinemas are just plain standard.
Leave it at home. If you can't remember to turn it off, keep it at home.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at it now.
Yes.
Exactly. Shall we start with a bit of context for everyone? So this is the reboot or... remake? Would you say a reboot or a remake for this one? What do you think? I think a reboot.
Remake.
I'm unsure about the difference, actually.
I'm going to say reboot, and we'll talk about it at the end of the podcast because it's a major spoiler. So we will have a spoiler warning at the end when we discuss this.
Because there was this Stephen King book, originally It.
Yes.
Which was made into a TV movie, or 2-part series in 1990.
So when does it cut, the 1991? Because we've seen it.
I think it cuts, because we've seen a full length, the full length version.
So
it cuts before the adult thing.
So it's like they do a part. So it's not like we watch it.
Because
so is that stitched together?
I think, if I remember well, in the TV stuff, the adult and young are intertwined, kind of. Yeah,
yes.
But in this one, it's not.
Okay, so I'm going to be brutally honest. If you are scared of clowns, watch the 1991, because I don't think it's that scary, the 1991s. By standards of cinema nowadays, 1991 is not scary.
Yes, but if bad acting really gets on your nerves, do not watch the 1991
Oh my days.
because it's chock-a-block of it.
Well, the actor playing...
Billy.
The guy who's from... the guy who's most famous for Stranger Things, apparently is scared of clowns in real life. So... He survived, so I know.
I do know that, actually, which connects this film to Alien, the director...
This one?
Andres
Muschietti.
Muschietti? Mm-hmm. Muschietti said that he didn't want the children to be around Pennywise or Bill Skarsgård while he was dressed up, like on lunch breaks and stuff like that, just so that each time that they'd actually film together, the children were genuinely terrified. And they did that in the same with Alien.
That's right.
I can't remember his name, but the guy that was in the costume, he said that they can't take their lunch breaks at the same time because I want every time the other actors to be involved with you to be actually scared because they haven't seen you as much.
I need to look up for the Alien podcast because I believe that the actor that was in the costume died a couple of years ago. It was either him or the designer died, but I will check that up for the actual podcast.
Yes, I think you're right.
Before we...
I know that as well, he disappeared. Well, I think
it was his only acting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll go on that later.
Yes, sorry.
Okay,
so it's Stephen King, right? So what was your first Stephen King book you've read?
Oh.
You remember?
I don't think I've read any Stephen King.
Okay.
I don't think Shawshank counts because it's a novella. Probably Misery. Actually, no, I can tell you. I haven't really read his books, but I can tell you the first thing of Stephen King I saw, which was The Mist. The first thing I remember seeing is The Mist. I'm sure I did see Shawshank Redemption, but I don't think that counts if you didn't know that was Stephen King beforehand.
Yeah, of course.
So The first thing I remember sitting down to watch is the movie version of Mist, because obviously there's a TV show now, and it just features all of the actors from Walking Dead, because obviously it's Frank Darabont, the old showrunner for Walking Dead, who is the producer or director of that movie. So yeah, that's my first one.
I have actually read Carrie.
Oh.
I've read Carrie, and I've also read The Green Mile.
After
I'd seen the film.
Which was, The Green Mile, you had the full version because it was released one chapter at a time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. But that was like 1970s. So.
Mr. Bojangles.
No, I read the whole version.
No. The Green Mile was released one chapter at a time, not in the 70s, because I remember actually reading it
one chapter at a time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
maybe I did then.
Who knows?
How strange.
Jan, what was your first one?
The Long Walk.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that.
He has done some pretty good pieces of work.
Oh, and I mean, the films that he's kind of has inspired are amazing.
He used a pseudonym for this one.
I do believe that.
Richard Bachman.
Oh, do you know why they do that? Just so that people don't say, "Oh, another Stephen King film."
Well, I know that
book.
the police novels that J.K. Rowling is writing, she started out with a pseudonym because she didn't want her fame to be attached to that kind of like a heart project. But the word went out rather quickly.
Yeah, that happens.
In movies, when directors are not really happy, they're suddenly called Alan Smithy.
Really?
Yeah, and there's also another name for actors on stage. I don't remember which one.
That was a quiz.
Yes, no.
Pledge, Edgar Pledge or something. I don't know.
That was a quiz question I saw once, that there's a name that actors take if they don't want their names to be known. It's like an anonymous name, which is quite interesting.
Walter Plinge.
Walter Plinge.
Yes.
Shout out to the STV and ITV The Chase. Good game show, The Chase. Should we do a plot summary for it? We haven't done that yet. So it is the story of childhood nightmares. We start off with two boys, Billy and Georgie. Billy, who has a stutter, and Georgie, his younger brother. Georgie wants to go and play with his boat in the street, but Billy is too ill to go outside, so Georgie goes on his own. Georgie then proceeds to play with his boat, and it goes down the drain, only to be recovered by Pennywise, the clown, the dancing clown, as it's clarified in this one. I should point out now that this will be a plot summary for the 2017 It, not the It from 1990. There are scenes differences, but the stories are roughly the same. So there's a conversation between It and Georgie, and then Georgie is perceived to be killed by Pennyworth, and then the movie, we get the title card, It. The rest of the movie follows Georgie's brother, Billy, and his friends going through school and discovering that there's something not quite right with the town that they live in, and they're all in some way being haunted by this clown. And from there, they discover that this isn't just happened to them. It has been haunting the town of Derry for many a year, hibernating for long lengths, and then coming out every 27 years to wreak havoc on the town and claim more victims before it can go back and hibernate. So, they all decide eventually that they've had enough. At least, Billy has had enough, because he still believes that his brother is alive and he can save him. So they proceed to take on Pennyworth. They arrive to his facade of a lair, which is an old abandoned house in the town of Derry, and go through what is the equivalent of a haunted house segment, where three of our main characters encounter this killer clown, only to subsequently fend him off. This causes some rife between the group, whether or not they want to stay fighting it. But eventually, events happen that lead them all to team up and have to go after the creature. They then go after the creature, and then they go after the creature and subsequently defeat it, and they're all happy. And then they decide, they all gather round at the end of summer saying, if this creature ever comes back, we all agree to come back and finish the job. End credits.
Well, thank you for the plot.
I did realise I went quite in detail there. But this does come out at the end of September, so you've had your chance to see it.
Yes, that's indeed the
2 week rule.
The last day of September. I actually realized, because I've always tried to identify the point in my life when I stopped watching movies dubbed in French.
Right.
And I clearly remember this one to be one of them.
Right.
So, by the way, Lost in Translation, it was called, it should be translated as ça. Like
okay.
It. But it was, in France, always referred as Il est revenu. Like
comes back.
he is back.
He is back.
Yeah. More there's an element of because the il could be it or he. Yeah.
Okay.
So
It is back.
It's
He
never
is
been
back.
translated properly. So
Yes.
I don't know if you realized that the novel is actually almost 1,500 pages.
Really?
Yeah, which when you know that a script is around 70, 120, depending on the runtime.
Oh my gosh.
It was
They
from,
must have cut quite a lot off then.
Oh, there was some nasty sex stuff in there.
I do know Beverly was actually raped by her father.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she was like beaten
Beaten.
by her father. We see more of that in the 27 years ago, the previous version.
Yeah, but they keep that a little bit under wrap. But there was a scene where I don't know if you were looking like that closely, but he did.
Yeah, he parts her legs.
Yeah.
Guys, you've just made me have a moment because
Okay.
you guys just said Yann just said rather than 27 years ago. So there's that why in the movie it comes back every 27 years because it's 27 years since 1990.
Yes. Yeah.
That's just blowing my mind.
Yes. They wanted to have it released this year. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, did you not get that?
No, I did not.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's great.
It's a really good idea.
That is amazing.
I did want them to explain why it is 27 in 27-year increments. Is there an explanation for that?
Probably in the book.
Yeah, because maybe this is a type of films or books that I like that kind of tell you why someone is a killer or, the reasons behind the things. And that's kind of why I really liked Saw in the beginning, because he had a reason. And it's the same with maybe Halloween. Is it Freddy?
No,
Jason, sorry.
Freddy is Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween is,
to be fair,
Michael Myers.
On both things, they have reasons, right? That they come back and they kill in their own way. They have reasons behind it.
Feeding?
Well, in Friday the 13th, it's because not Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes,
is because the parents of the children that get haunted were responsible for the death of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, because they burned the house.
Yeah, they burned down the house
down
because he was a creepy janitor, kind of like
Beverly's father. Yes.
So yeah, that's why they kill Freddy.
Right, but I always thought that he might be like a Boo Radley figure. If anyone has seen what's the book?
Seen the book
With Scout and Jem. Oh no, what is it? Come on, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
what? Ah, no.
No. Okay, so it has a very quiet, introverted, a bit scary neighbor who everyone kind of hates in the neighborhood because he's a bit different. And obviously they're in the southern states of America who aren't known for their open outlook on the world. And so I always thought that, yes, maybe that's why he was kind of hated on.
a bit like a fucked up version of is it Goodnight, Mr. Tom?
Yes, exactly.
We should
That's
watch.
a lovely book.
Yann won't know this. Goodnight, Mr. Tom. Goodnight, Mr. Tom is a British story about in the 40s when all the kids are evacuated from the cities during the London Blitz, and this young boy goes to stay with this man called Mr. Tom, who's not known for being like nice, and he like warms his heart and stuff. It's a good book.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Anyway, so we've kind of gone through a lot of films.
Yes, I would like to have your opinion on this. You said lovely earlier, so there were a few lovely scenes that were removed from the movie. I'd like you to give your opinion on it was a good idea or not to remove them. Like Henry Bowers, who was so you had the Losers Club, which were basically the good guys, and the Bowers gang.
Yes.
It was the
bully.
The antagonist. Yeah, the bullies. Yeah. There was a scene with one of the Bowers having sex with a sheep and ejaculating on a birthday cake.
What?
Yes, that's in the
Stephen
book.
King, you crazy man.
There's better.
What's the reason for that?
Yeah, is there a reason for that?
There's one of the member of the same gang, Patrick, who was giving Henry a hand job.
What?
Patrick, who also suffocated his infant brother.
What?
Yes. And
so Patrick is the guy who was killed first?
Patrick's the first bully to go missing.
Yes. Hofstetter.
Yeah,
something.
that's right.
Yes.
And the last one, which was removed, but it's really a shame, really. The infamous orgy scene with Bev in the sewer.
With who?
Oh my god.
With the rest of the Losers Club. Because after
They have orgies?
after they defeated it, she initiated, like, maybe we should lose our virginities together. Or something.
Christ.
Yes.
This
and
book
I really need to read this book. This
Yes,
sounds so interesting.
So, yeah, they removed them because it would have earned the movie an NC-17 rating, and they were going for R.
Right.
Which is one of the main reasons why it was a development hell also.
So they wanted to put that in. Is that cut from the actual script, or is that just from the book?
Because they're
No,
kids.
that's from all this is from the book.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Because they're kids. I mean, how would they have got the okay from...
Yeah,
that's...
It would have been a bit too disturbing for the actors, probably.
Right, because I think that, I haven't checked this at all, but the actors look pretty young.
There are some, the Sophia Bev is like 15,
Yeah, right.
the actress. Yeah, but some of the kids are like 10, 12.
My God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not sure that would have gone down very well with the...
Jan's question was, how do I feel that these have been taken out? I don't think they add anything to the plot.
I don't think you need to, because Bowers is a really messed up kid, but they show it very well without him having to rape a sheep. I don't think we need that in any film. I don't think we really need to see that.
Yeah, that would be a bit weird.
So I was talking about development hell.
All right.
It took 7 years to actually make it on.
Are you kidding?
No,
7
I'm not
years. Oh my god!
No, I'm not kidding.
So did the actors know that they were in this production for 7 years? I doubt.
No, it's
No way.
No, because they wanted for Bev, they wanted Chloe Grace Moritz to be her.
Yes, of
but
course.
because of the time it took she grew old, and she was 19 when
She was too old.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So that's the thing. They talked about Stranger Things earlier, with one of the characters being played by the guy from that. The Duffer Brothers, who are twins, by the way. They wanted to direct the movie originally, but they were overlooked as they were not established enough.
Oh, that annoys me.
Which will be funny later on, because the guy who chose afterwards was not that much established, actually. The director, Andy is his nickname, Muschietti, and he's from Argentine. And he's...
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina, yes. He is from Argentina. And
It's the French for Argentina.
Argentine.
Argentine.
Yeah. He made, which is quite remarkable, he made a short in 2008 called Mama, which was a horror film. And it was made into a feature in 2013, English language and both languages, English and Spanish.
That is a very good movie.
It was co-directed by him and a woman by the same last name, Barbara Muschietti, so I don't know. Well, anyway, the film starred Jessica Chastain and Nicolas Coster-Waldau, so he managed to get a very high profile.
Chastain is good, but she does kind of quite indie stuff, so... Oh, that's all I know. She's quite good with.
When they asked the cast who they would see to get their adult roles, Bev said that she would see Jessica Chastain, and she's in good place to actually do the adult role.
I like the thought of Chastain doing Beverly Marsh's.
I'm going to throw another one in there.
Adult.
Christina Hendricks.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'd buy a ticket first day.
Yeah, because I think they...
You just want to see her again.
Oh my god, I'm in love with Christina Hendricks.
I think we all are.
I don't know how it is in the book, but they made this Bev Ginger, which is amazing. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, also Andres is working on the Dracula prequel now. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
For someone who's not established.
So development hell. So it started in 2009, and there was a guy who is credited as a co-writer here because he wrote with his mate Chase Palmer. The name of the guy is Kari Yoji Fukunaga. Hopefully I say that correctly. So both they wrote the the original script. The Cary Fukunaga was the director and executive producer of the first season of True Detective.
Oh my god.
For which he won a Primetime Emmy Award for outstanding directing.
First season good. Second season, it's the bad things happen. We all have weird teenage years.
And he also...
Not really sure what I understood. Did you understand what Adam just
basically
tried to say?
Basically that everyone has a rough time growing up. I'm just saying that season 2 has good ideas but isn't executed very well.
Oh no.
Which is a shame because they had some good cast members and it looked promising. It just isn't, in compared to the first one. Not good.
There's another one which is nice. Are you ready for this? So he was the writer, director, producer, and cinematographer on Beast of No Nation.
Mm-hmm.
With Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I hope they didn't say he wasn't well established enough by this point, because that's a bit of an insult. Not established enough. I did win an Emmy for True Detective.
No, yeah, that's right. So when Andy Muschietti signed to direct the studio, they wanted to use the same script that Cary Fukunaga is planning on using, but only doing some edits and removing the problematic scenes. But he loved the structure and the human drama of the original version, but he wanted to do some slight adjustments. There was a scene called the smoke hole scene, in which Richie and Mike use a Native American tradition to have a vision which details how it arrived on Earth millions of years ago, but because of the intense CGI required, it was deemed too expensive by the production.
That's a shame, because that would have been quite good.
That would have been quite interesting.
I will say, for It's 1990, it's terribly acted, let's just say it.
Yes.
Right? But the only reason you stick through it is because you're intrigued, because the story is very good. I will say, the script, not great, but the overall story is really good. Hence why it got remade.
And Tim Curry is very good in it, actually.
Oh, we'll have that debate later on.
Oh yeah, so I forgot to say, obviously, Fukunaga stepped down in 2016 because he wanted to make an unconventional horror film, and it didn't fit into what the studio wanted to make.
Yes.
So they had creative differences all the way, and they would have micromanaged everything. So he stepped down, and he's only credited as co-writer now.
That's a shame.
What a shame.
That's a real shame. I hope whatever he's making now is going to be good, because it sounds good.
Yeah. We'll keep a lookout for that.
I'll put a link on his interview explaining why he stepped down, because it's I won't quote that because it's massive, but it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's good that he got to say why he left.
Yes, of course.
Also, there was... did you know that it was just... I don't know how the budget would have been with that scene, but it was made for 35 million.
Really?
Yeah, the budget of the movie, and they made half of that on the first day already. It was released today, and
That's incredible.
Wow.
Oh, well, that'll fuel what we're going to talk about at the very end of this podcast. Should we talk about the movie?
Should we talk about Pennywise? Because Bill Skarsgård was the fourth actor offered the role.
Oh.
Really?
Yes, sorry, let's not talk about the movie.
Yes, I heard Hugo Weaving was in the...
Yes, I'm coming to that, actually.
No way.
Yeah. Tim Curry was offered the chance to reprise the role.
Really?
Early development, but he turned it down.
Oh,
interesting.
What an idiot.
Well, I don't know, maybe he had family. Well, it's not known. It's from the trivia from IMDb. So, Ben Mendelsohn.
What are you doing?
Ben Mendelsohn from Rogue One. Well, lately, because he's been doing some pretty amazing stuff in his Australian place. He was interested, but he couldn't agree. So I'll take that with brackets on the money.
Oh dear.
It finally ended up on Will Poulter, which was in the Maze Runner, Chronicle of Narnia. The Revenant is in Detroit with Boyega now.
Is he the one that looks like Henry Bowers? Because Henry Bowers looks like an actor that I was like, I recognise him.
Yes,
I think that's him. Yeah.
He won looks the BAFTA Rising Star there.
Him. They look identical.
Yeah,
that's quite interesting.
Because so as you said earlier, Hugo Weaving and Bill Skarsgård were the two finalists for the role of Pennywise.
Yes.
When Poulter left the project, he left the project because he was just too terrified to actually go into that character.
Wow.
Emotionally
He
terrified.
was,
Interesting.
Method.
That is, method in act. Even though Bill Skarsgård talks about how he went so into his character that he had nightmares every single night.
That's quite committed then. I don't agree with that, but
No, but sometimes you can't help it.
I mean that's
if you're
true.
doing someone like Pennywise, come on, of course you're going to be you worked with a contortionist for months, apparently. For God's sake,
yeah.
Of course, he's going to have nightmares. You have to. Sometimes you have to go not method, but you have to
go somewhere that you don't.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
Skarsgård won the role because apparently he was able to play a more fun and childlike Pennywise in addition to creepy Pennywise, while Weaving reportedly fell short in playfulness and could only play creepy.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was one of my major gripes with the original. That Tim Curry's really good, but he's never like super scary because he's very adult rather than a child. Which I think that's why people are scared of clowns, because they're oversized children. I think you never know where a clown's going to go, and that's what scares you. It's the unpredictability. It's like why people are scared of the dark, because you don't know what's in it.
Oh, and there's also Seth Green in the original, which I never realized before, because he was in Con Man, as I said.
Yes.
Off air.
Oh, I'd love to. Do you know what? I've had a crush on Seth Green since I was like 3 years old. I'm exaggerating, listeners, sorry. But since I was very young, since I started watching Buffy, I have had such a crush on Seth Green. Oh my Jesus. If you are listening.
And we know you are.
You know, it's crazy how you're good at transitions without even checking my notes, because talking of crushes,
there you go.
I realized watching it again that probably one of my earliest ever film crushes were the child. Well, I was also a child at the time.
So it's okay.
playing Bev in the TV thing.
Oh, bless little Bev.
Yeah, with her hair. That was one of the first. After Jennifer Connelly, that was the real first. From Once Upon a Time in America. She's just a teen in there. I don't remember if you've seen this one. And before Natalie Portman and obviously Liv Tyler.
Natalie Portman in Star Wars and Liv Tyler in Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, it was way after, because she did like some Bertolucci films, Stilling Beauty, and some very, very nice That Thing You Do.
Armageddon?
Yeah, she's in there too, yeah.
A little bit.
So let's talk about some scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I have just realised that me and Yann have very close women crushes.
That's quite funny. So, do you guys want to give you two a minute alone? Right.
Awkward.
This movie.
Yes, this movie.
Right. So in the plot summary, I told you that Bill's brother Georgie is murdered at the start of the film.
Yes.
In that scene, you get the tone of this movie. This movie is not holding punches. Pennyworth rips off a small child younger than 6's arm. It comes clean off.
Yeah, you get in right up the start, because you don't get that in the TV.
No,
and also he tries to get away, so he screams, falls back, and then kind of, you know how the army
wriggle, you could say,
kind of just wriggles, tries to wriggle forward, tries to get away from with one arm ripped clean off. It's just, oh my God, it's shocking. It's shocking.
Watching Anouk's reaction at that moment was pretty priceless.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. But then again, in the 1990s version, I was shocked as well, because you see a young child go into the ambulance, like on a body, in a body bag. So I found that quite shocking, because it was so starkly saying, we're not fucking around. Like, it kills children.
Oh, is it on the body? Because in this one, we don't know what happens to Georgie. Was it? I don't remember.
We don't get a confirmation.
There is a body bag in the original one. Really?
That's not about. No, Anouk means in the original, when the very beginning, it's in the present day. It's another little girl.
Right. You're correct. That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
the little girl.
No, and I think that's the only time that you see the dead body.
Yeah,
that's right, because that's.
We never know that. That's a key plot point that Billy believes that Georgie is still alive because they never found the body.
Right, but are we doing spoilers in this one?
We'll do spoilers at the end.
Yeah, we'll have it will be explicit and with spoilers.
Yes, good, because I definitely think that, because at the end of it, Billy puts a gun and shoots George in the head. So obviously that's the film saying that George is dead. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sure.
it
Like,
definitely kills it.
It's clear that
Yes.
Also, the fact that it's not a year later, but it's a couple of months for sure into the future that we cut after Georgie's disappearance. So if Georgie was alive without an arm for 6 months,
No, he'd be dead.
you'd be dead.
Yeah, right.
He's dead.
Yeah.
We take that this kid is as soon as that arm is off, there's no doubt this kid is dead.
Right. And also, like, for example, when Billy goes into the basement and he sees Georgie in the corner, and then it pretty much makes it look like you're watching the decomposition of Georgie's body.
Yeah. I will say if they could not afford the effects for that CGI scene, they spent the effects very well in this movie.
The makeup was amazing.
That was very, very good.
One thing I would have to say, though, Bill Skarsgård can actually make his eye go a different direction. So that wasn't CGI.
He can actually do it. Yeah. It was planned to be CGI, but he can actually do it.
Me and Yann read the same thing.
Headphone users are going to love that section.
No, but it's really funny because the director actually had a conversation with Skarsgård and was saying, like, oh, I want CGI to make your eye go in opposite direction. And Bill Skarsgård just does it. Like, oh, I can actually do it. This is why, actors, you need to learn every skill possible. Doesn't matter what it is. You might be thanked one day.
Oh, something rather different also from the book is the time period. Because in the original novel, the children bit was in 1958.
58.
Yeah, and the film, this new film is 1989. And you can see that with the posters, like Batman, Lethal Weapon 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
I like that. Is that because the book came out? So it coincided with the time the adults would be when the book came out, so that's why it was in the 50s. Do you think? Because that's the thing with the time traveling aspect, at least in the original. They come back as adults to deal with it again, and
probably you mean like because actually
so when the
it's
book
27 years. So if you count from 1989,
27 years.
27 years, it's last year. So
close enough.
What happens afterwards will be set recent.
Could we
So he comes back, yes.
If we're doing book changes, my favourite book change is the character of Mike. I say book, I haven't read the book. I mean the 1990 to this version. In the 1990s version, Mike is introduced much later on in the structure of the story. Because in the 1990 version, it starts with them as adults and it like flashes back so we see what happens, which I don't think works very well because it kind of spoils the illusion that any of the kids are in danger.
I think that they weren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, you know.
And
Kids survive, yeah.
Yeah, so and Mike is in the 1990 version you just see this black guy phoning people and you're like, who are you? And then it's introduced that this is Mike, he was there too. But in this one, and he's just meant to be a librarian. In this one, Mike makes sense. You know, he's the outsider kid. I like that he wasn't phoned in, because in the 1990 version it just kind of seems like, we had this character, we need to put him in somewhere. So I like that.
I also like how each child had his or her own flaws, you know, and they were scared of something like specific. And I mean, the 1980s version did say what they were scared of, but it wasn't like honed in properly. Yeah. So it wasn't really felt that this was their greatest fear. But obviously you feel the fear that Bev has of her father, who it's obviously not on screen, but it's very obvious he was about to sexually assault her before she kicks him in the nuts. Go girl. So she's terrified of him, and that's what it uses. And Mike is scared of people's hands coming through doors.
That was nice as well, the backstory.
There was a reason behind it, and that's what I was looking for.
That was really good.
And I like that. And I was hoping that it might have a bit of a backstory.
Maybe he does.
And maybe that's coming.
He does. Well, you know, in the 27 years ago TV stuff, they were talking about, is that the deadlights? So we didn't get to see, except at the very end.
We saw it at the end, the deadlights.
It was not mentioned, but we saw something.
We saw that.
So maybe it's heavily...
This is a superior version of it.
Oh my God, for sure. And I mean, actually, the first few lines that Bill Skarsgård has, or Pennywise, he does say to George that the whole circus is down here. So I thought that maybe that would come back later. Like there was a circus and then they decided to, end it because no one was interested in clowns anymore. And then he kind of went, I really wanted it to be, and I know that he's a
clown.
I know that he's a...
he's just got that he's a clown.
He's a creature.
It's like Jaws. It's the film it's not about the clown, actually. It's
fear.
A creature. Yeah. Like Freddy Krueger, who gets into your nightmares and feeds on that.
Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, so it's also...
Good film.
It's about
fear. Yeah, right. Which was nice because you actually feared people like Bev's father and the burning hands and the house and your little brother dying. Like that is something that we can all relate to. And that was quite nice because it was lost in the 1990s version, what fear can actually do to you. And you actually started fearing the clown, whereas in this one you were fearing fear itself.
Well, if we're talking about fear, why don't we say, guys, what scene scared you the most in this film?
Yann, you go first. I have to think about
Well, one thing also about horror films, this one, the original version, was one of the latest films that actually scared me because 2 years later came Army of Darkness. And since Army of Darkness, except very well designed jump scares, I don't get that fear much. So I wasn't, it's heavily relying on jump scares here.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I was not sleeping, or I was not like Mr. Bean in a roller coaster. No, I was enjoying the whole. It was a scene in particular. I'll get back to you on that.
Anouk?
Well, I mean, there were a few scenes that were terrifying, like the scene in Beverly's bathroom.
Oh, the blood scene.
With the sink. And it wasn't just the blood, it was the hair coming out of the thing. And I think that it was also connected to what she was afraid of, the fact that her father finds her attractive, as horrible as that is, because he liked her hair. And that was very obvious. And I thought that was quite a nice link to fear again.
Yeah.
Because it was like almost her fear was attacking her and it was in the form of her hair. But it was just the way that it was edited, the way that it was cut, everything about, and like the hair strands were like thick, like rope, and they were just kind of tying her face. Oh, it was just so... I was terrified.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a jump scare. It was like, I'm scared and I know what's happening, but I'm watching this and I'm scared.
Well, you have hair.
Oh, dear. Dear, oh, dear. For me,
yes.
What scared me the most? Do you know what, actually? The thing that got me like, oh shit, was the bully actually cutting him.
Oh God, yes.
That kind of like...
Oh yes, that was unexpected.
That got me. That was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're not joking there.
And also the Belcher, or whatever his name is.
Belch. I loved that. I loved Belch in the original. I'm so glad he came back.
Yeah. I like how he said, I think we should stop. And you could see Bowers mad. Like he he screamed, shut up, which is complete madness. And it was nice because I think in the first one, you didn't see why the hell this bully kept on going to these kids. Like, you didn't see his madness. You didn't see the fact that he was actually, traumatized from home. Like, his dad was a complete freak and, shot at him. Like, that's going to do something to a child. Like, that's traumatizing your child. And in that scene, you could see the bully, he was actually completely mad. Like, it was scary.
It was quite scary. I thought it's not as much a scary movie to me. To be fair, actually, because me and Anouk played together both Outlasts and Alien Isolation, not a lot of stuff scares me anymore. Because I find suspense more terrifying than actual jump scares. I like when something strings me along because I'm just like, oh no, I know it's coming. And it's the fact that that's why I think a jump scare works, when you don't expect it, not when it's just thrown at you.
Alien does quite well, actually.
Alien does quite well. There is a suspense moment in this film, and it is the Easter egg hunt when Ben.
Oh yes, that's a good scene.
Ben with the Easter egg is a suspense one because he goes down to the library basement,
and there's a reason behind it.
Yeah,
which I like. I'm obsessed with backstories and reasons for why there's a haunting. Like, because otherwise it's just gratuitous and it's silly.
Why was Ben scared of headless people? Because they all had a reason. But Ben's guy had no head.
Yeah.
Did they explain that with Ben?
Maybe it's reserved for another
next
time.
one.
We'll talk. Oh. Well, now that Anouk's mentioned the next one, should we talk about that? Right, so major spoiler warnings right now. If you don't want to hear anything, we will put a link to the time code when we don't talk about this, okay? Or maybe we'll take this bit and put it at the very end. That might be a bit easier. If not, you've been warned, okay? So this is the spoiler section of the podcast. This got me really angry. All right, I will not be afraid to admit it. This really got me annoyed, and I don't know if I'm annoyed because I didn't see it coming and I should have, or that I thought, you know what, this movie's been smart enough. They've honed what didn't work in the 1990s, and they've made a nice slimline 2 hour film, and they covered it. Because one of the big things that made me think they weren't going to do it is because they killed the bully, or did they? That's what I was just thinking there. I'm like, is Bowers dead? We don't see a body. I reckon that Bowers might still be about. Even though he fell down
After
that well.
that fall?
Well, I mean, maybe Pennyworth can do something with Bowers. Because that was the thing in the...
Pennywise.
Pennyworth, Jesus.
Pennywise.
Anyway, right. Spoiler is, they all make a pact, which I said in the plot summary. If this thing ever came back, they would come back to Derry and deal with it. The movie then fades to black. We get the title card, It. And then it fades in, Chapter 1. I've never done this in a movie. I got angry in the cinema. I was not happy.
Could have been better. We could have stayed until the end credit because Pennywise laughs.
Does he?
Yes. Foreshadowing his return for part 2.
Chapter 2, Pennyworth Boogaloo.
Which is actually what the 1990s version actually does. He does laugh in the credits, so maybe they brought that back.
You know, I bought the book earlier today to have like 1,500 words, so I didn't read it, obviously.
Light read, so you're traveling back to
The
France.
structure was like part 1, some stuff happening before, then part 2, June 1958, so that time. Then part 3, grown-ups, then part 4, again, 58, and there was a ritual thingy happening, so loads of stuff. I'm going to read that to expand on before the chapter 2 comes out.
Well, that's the other thing. I was like, we're going to have to review this on the podcast now. We're going to have to do chapter 2.
Yes, of course, but it was designed correctly enough so that you didn't see it coming.
No, that's why I got annoyed, because I didn't see it coming.
But it was...
It wasn't needed either, I think.
Well, we don't read stuff beforehand. Not much, especially before going to see the stuff. But in February of last year, one of the producers revealed that the filming... will start in 2016, and that they still intended to split the movie in 2 parts.
Okay.
Oh, so it might be that would have worked. I wouldn't have been annoyed about that if I'd known this is a whole saga.
Yeah.
I would not have been annoyed about that. I'd be like, right, so this is chapter 1, and go in and enjoy it, and like I can't wait for them to find out what happens. Because we watched it beforehand, we watched the 1990s one, and I remember seeing bits of the 1991 when they were adult. I think I would have been like, if I'd got to the end of it and if I'd not known that it was the future, I'm like, oh, it's just another franchise. But because I know for the narrative that it is written that they become adults, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I mean, thinking back on it, I'm thinking that it might have been a bit of a disservice to little Ben that he wrote a poem to Bev and she decides to choose someone else. That's probably, and also without saying anything to Ben, you know, and so there was part of me that was like, I really hope that this wasn't just, oh, well, we can't have, you know, the main girl fall in love with a fat kid.
To be fair, I would have believed that because I was quite a fat child and I watched many a girl not like me and like a friend of mine. So I actually gave that movie credit for being believable to that, because that would have been, using your word, Hollywoodized.
Yeah,
that she fell for the fat kid when obviously she would fall for the good looking one, because it, you know, that happens.
Yeah, but Bev is cool. She's not a Hollywood chick.
But she's young and she doesn't, you know, young girls make mistakes like that.
Yeah, but she's not young, is she? I mean, she's a kid that's been sexually assaulted all her life. Like, she's pretty much an adult.
I forgot that. That's true.
Yeah, she's a good thrower also.
She's one of the lads.
She's a good shot.
I don't know, or at least not saying anything to Ben first. Like, I'm really sorry, I don't fancy you. there should have been a conversation with that. But to just leave it and for her to decide to go with someone who didn't write her a poem and not have that conversation, I think that would have been a disservice to just leave it there. So there's part of me that's like,
It evolves in chapter 2, anyway. We had the whole thing in the TV movie. Now it's in the book, so...
I bet there is. Do you know what? Having said I was annoyed, I do hold faith. That because Tim Curry said no, he might see this movie and might agree to come back for the sequel.
Oh, I mean, Pennywise in this, hats off to Skarsgård because he did an absolutely incredible job.
Oh, he already started to work on the next one. I've read some stuff that he was worried about his mental health. So he was considering not coming back.
Oh, really?
But he's good now.
That would have been really weird if they... Oh, no, that would have worked, actually, if Pennyworth had changed. That would still work.
Because it's a clown, yes.
Pennywise,
it's one of his
Pennyworth again.
It's one of his forms, but it also the clown could also change, I reckon.
We're now out the spoiler section, so if listeners are back, we'll time code this.
I'm sure there are spoilers all throughout this podcast.
Yes,
We're not very good at not.
Why don't we just put a spoiler tag on the description for this?
I think we need to put spoiler tag on every single one of our podcasts.
Actually, to be fair, I did say earlier that this will be out 2 weeks after release, so we're okay.
I plan to actually put some at some point to make sure. Yeah, because
Did anyone else see the Tim Curry references?
I didn't see them, but I
references. No,
right. So in the scene where Richie, who was my favourite character in the original,
sweetheart,
Richie's really good in the first one. He goes into his test. I'm in Saw mode now. He goes into the room where he's scared of clowns, and it's just full of clowns.
Oh,
there are two references. The first one, which is the more obvious one, is there is a clown in that room dressed with the same get up that Tim Curry's Pennywise wears, the yellow trousers and the hair that's looks like the wig. The other one is a little more subtle. Is one of the oldie time pictures on the wall in the background. It's quite hard to spot, but you can see it. Is doing Tim Curry's signature finger on lips shush in the background. Yes. That's there too, which I really loved because I'll be honest, I loved Tim Curry's Pennywise. It's amazing. The best thing about the 1990s one. Just his laugh.
It's very good.
I haven't noticed. I've read it afterwards, but I didn't notice it. No.
But it's less scary for sure. For sure.
Oh, the original. If you're scared of clowns, see 1990s and then get over it and come back and see 2017 because it's a far superior movie.
Far superior.
Yeah, 2017 and 2018 or whatever.
Whenever the next one comes out.
Whichever one is coming next. I look forward to that, actually.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
I look forward to seeing more of Skarsgård.
As Pennywise.
Let's talk about 27.
Okay. Is that the unpopular sequel to 24?
No, that's the number that is often associated with the story. Like, as we said earlier, this movie is released 27 years afterwards. In the book, it returns to Derry every 27 years. Jonathan Brandis, who played young Bill in the original film, died at 27 years old. And the movie was released 1 month after Bill Skarsgård turned 27. There's a 27 thing going on there.
Yeah, completely.
So
R.I.P. to little Billy.
What if the next movie comes out 27 months later? That won't work because 27 months is over 2 years. There's no way they're waiting 2 years for the next one. There's no way. Not with what this is going to rake in at the box office, because I won't lie, this is going to make a lot of money because it's pretty good.
It says that apparently it's already broken.
Yeah, Yann said the budget.
Yeah, 14 million on the first week.
Today is the first day, unless it came out.
Yeah, it is, and they are planning for 90 million on 3 days.
Oh my God!
It's well deserved.
It's such a good film.
But it was highly hyped because I don't know if you realized, but the very first teaser trailer generated 197 million views within 24 hours.
What was that one? Was that just the balloon?
Yeah, there was a lot of balloon motif.
That might have been just him running down the street and Pennywise appearing in the drain. Yeah. That might have been the trailer. That was the
trailer.
Because
teaser trailer.
The teaser trailer.
The previous one was Fast and Furious 8, 139 million.
Oh, for God's sake.
You know what?
I'm sick of that franchise.
Do you know what I want to give this movie credit for, which the first one failed miserably at? Making the kids believable.
Yes,
The
yes.
dialogue for the children is very good.
It's lovely.
Oh yes, it's
It's perfect.
lovely. And
They
it's
talk
dirty. And it's like kids talk like that, you know?
Yeah.
Especially boys.
No comment.
Yeah, go see it.
You know, talking about the trailer again, it enraged real-life professional clowns.
Oh, for God's sake.
Who thought that the Pennywise would encourage people to think that clowns are as scary and murderous, even though, as I said earlier, the filmmaker clearly stated that Pennywise is not a clown at all, but the representation of its pure evil, who takes a form out of mix of sadism and childlessness.
We have not seen its true form yet.
No, we haven't.
We did get a brief clause come out in the final fight.
Yes.
Which I was quite excited for, because this was still at the point I thought that this is there isn't going to be another one. I was like, oh, we're going to see the form, because I was looking forward to that, because I remember the first one being like, no, it wasn't great design, but I did love that it was stop motion, the original.
Yes.
Which I have a real fond favour for stop motion film.
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of cute.
But that does make me.
It wasn't scary though, and I feel like this version is trying to be scary because, it feeds on fear, so why not?
Yeah.
So expect some protests, and it's not a joke, from real life clowns in October. There are some protests and rallies planned.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, for God's sake.
Also, the film was released this year, and I don't know if you remember last year, but there was a trend of people dressing as clowns.
Oh, the killer
As
clown.
clowns to
Killer
harass and
clowns.
attack people.
Yes.
Yeah, Jesus. What happened to all then?
I think there apparently that there were a few that came back, but it's kind of gone down again.
They come back every 27 weeks.
It's just ridiculous though, because this film has got nothing to do with that, and it does annoy me when people get really crazy about stuff like that, you know.
Well, it goes back to the beginning of cinema. Remember when people used to be scared of that train? The first time they showed a train?
Yeah,
They were
arrivé d'un
terrified.
train en gare de la Ciotat.
Oh,
Yes, Louis
Yann.
and Auguste Lumière.
that's a great... I love that clip. Just the fact that people scared of this train coming at them. Just like, oh!
Yeah, but it's been kind of a bit debunked because the fact that they jumped or fainted, because it was one of the first cinematograph experiences, but there was some kind of other same type of experiences before. So Parisian, French audiences would have been
Used
a
to
bit
it.
more, more used to it. But yeah.
But anyone else that wasn't from...
I wasn't there.
It wasn't a Parisian.
Once again, European cinema is so much more forward than us lot.
Oh, I also love something that I've read. The director confirmed, and there are some forms that were supposed to be in the book, like a werewolf and a mummy, and they were cut and replaced by new forms to make sure that the movie will still terrify the readers of the book.
Ah.
Oh yeah, Seth Green's one is the vampire, not the vampire, werewolf, because they see the movie.
Yes.
Oh, because he was a werewolf in Buffy.
And I think in
That's meta.
yes.
That's so
Oh,
meta.
interesting.
Years before.
I do remember that in the kind of boss battle in the end, Ben is attacked by a werewolf. Not a werewolf, I'm sorry, mummy.
Oh yeah.
He gets attacked by bandages.
Or is that a hyena dressed as a werewolf?
Yeah. Shout out to Nosferatu.
Oh, amazing. Oh, actually, talking about Nosferatu.
That's the next one, Nosferatu, that will be released.
Oh, we just spoiled the illusion.
So Nosferatu will be next, but just a link to our next podcast. The way that they showed Nosferatu's carriage moving is by moving it in small, kind of like an inch forward, and then editing it to
Stop motion.
fast.
Yeah, it's stop motion.
Well, that's an easier way of saying it. Stop motion.
Early stop motion.
Very early.
yeah.
But
Okay.
what was nice is that, I mean, as a child, that terrified me as hell, because it was real. It wasn't plasticine. It wasn't animated. It was a real person using stop motion, which it looks wrong. And I think that probably terrifies us, because it's like, that looks wrong. And they definitely had Pennywise use that motif of moving forward erratically and in this stop motion way. And I'm not really sure how they would do that with a real person, but it was just quite nice to see, because, you know, how 1920s stop motion would look, and then how they've kind of, you know, brought it along.
Strobe kind of.
Like robotic, yeah.
There you go. 95 years later, and Nosferatu is still having influence on.
Oh,
cinema.
yes.
Really good.
We have to take our hats off to cult followings.
Indeed.
Yes.
I've seen cult followings. I think it had a cult following as a film. You know, the 1990, because who would have thought that film and that book would get remade? I mean, if you watch that version,
make a difference.
You're like, this is never going to see the light of day again.
No.
And it does. And I'm glad it did, because I have to admit, I was, again, apprehensive going in because I knew the original wasn't that great. But I've totally been blown away. And I'm going to say something very bold here. This is the best horror film of the 2010s, in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what? I haven't seen many recent horror films, so I'm not sure if I can comment. But yes, in my knowledge, I might agree with you.
There's the Babadook, which is quite good. And
Babadook I enjoyed.
Babadook, there is Mama that Yann mentioned earlier on.
I haven't seen that.
It's quite good as well.
Yeah.
But then there's other things like Annabelle and Paranormal Activity and Insidious. And
even though Blair Witch 2 was good.
Blair Witch 2 is a mixed bag for me.
Paranormal
Activity.
Activity.
It scared the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah, it got me, but is it the best horror film I've seen? No.
No, I think
Not
it
at
was
all.
a lot better.
Yeah.
We need to do Paranormal Activity. I have a nice family story with this.
Oh, good.
Yes. My
Maybe
mother getting creeped out and calling me. I was 40 kilometers away, but can you please come? I need to check some stuff with you at home. And I'm alone there.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Anything else jumping out to you guys about it before we begin wrapping this up?
I think maybe we should have some casting speculations. So the Losers Club actors were asked, I talked about that earlier, who they would see cast as their adult parts.
Yes.
So Sophia Lillis saw Jessica Chastain.
Yes, I see that.
Finn Wolfhard saw Bill Hader.
Who, you need to tell me the kids' names.
Richie. I'll give you the characters,
Okay.
right? Richie saw Bill Hader.
Okay, I can
Bev,
see that.
Jessica Chastain. Mike Hanlon, Chadwick Boseman.
Right.
Eddie Kasprak, Jack Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Okay.
Stanley, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Levitt. Oh,
Levitt?
who was
Levitt?
it?
Yeah, Levitt,
Yeah, I could see that.
Ben, Chris Pratt.
Oh, that'd be quite good.
And Bill,
That's interesting.
Christian Bale.
Now, Bill, I actually saw him and I can't remember his name. You know, there's an actor that's got like sort of combed down hair. He looks like Draco Malfoy in the original Harry Potters. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember the actor's name. It'll come to me. That's quite a good question. Who would we cast as who? I already said.
What about Eddie?
Who would you be in there, actually?
Who would we be?
Well, you won't because we are not 12, but I mean...
Well, yeah, and you could...
no, it's for the adults, so yeah.
You could feasibly be cast, you know.
As Pennywise?
Well, no, as any of the kids, because you're old enough to play that.
Yeah.
So, who could Yann have been? I quite like the idea that Yann is, not Richie. What was the Jewish guy's name? Stanley. I think Yann could be Stanley.
Yeah?
I think that'd be quite interesting.
They all float down there.
I'm not going down there.
I think Yann would make a good Pennywise.
Yann would make a good Pennywise, actually. Actually, that'd be great. I'd love to see Yann in clown makeup.
I think I should be Eddie's mum. Scared of infections.
Oh, Jesus.
Germaphobe.
I think I should
Wear
be...
a fat suit.
I think I should be Belch. I want to be...
You'd be a good bully.
I want to be old Belch. Well, actually, according to Patrick Tucker, my casting type is wistful bully.
Wistful bully.
I reckon I could have been cast as Bones, Henry Bones, or what? Bauer. Mm-hmm. I could have been that bully.
Yeah, Bauer, as in crazy.
I could probably have done that, but I wouldn't have been as good as this guy because the kids were really good in this movie.
They were
really good, really,
especially
really
looking
good.
at the acting that was in 1990. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, Stephen King said because while we're in spoilers, right?
Yeah,
he left the fate of Pennywise ambiguous, so we don't know even at the end of the whole thing if he's still alive or not. But he said it was too scary, so he swore never to write about him again. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he is Stephen King's scariest villain.
He is very... I mean, if you think about it, it's a very scary thought.
Shall we ruin the
Someone that comes back again and again and feeds on your fear. I mean, and can come back whenever it wants.
Shall we ruin the end of 1990s one?
We're not ruining much.
27 years. We said, is that our limit for spoilers? 2 weeks? I think 27 years is a bit more than 2 weeks.
So
Yeah.
I won't spoil what Pennyworth actually is, but they tear out
Wise
Oh, jeez. By chapter 2, I will have got it right. They tear out the creature's heart in the end of the 1991, or what looks like a heart.
I'm not sure that Pennywise from the 1990s version can actually come back ever.
But there is laughter at the end.
There is laughter in the end, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, they could have been fighting something that Pennywise could have...
That could not have been him, actually.
Yeah, have made into... pretend this is me. Yeah. I'll just send this, like, big spider into the fray, and then they kill that, and then, Pennywise is dead. But actually, no, he's laughing in the end, so...
Maybe Pennywise is all of us.
And it just, do you know what? It made me think that Pennywise is supposed to be what? The fear god? Like
what is it in the original? He's like, I'm the destroyer of worlds.
Is that Galactus? With his Silver Surfer stuff.
Chris Pratt gets cast as from Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt comes in and destroys the Destroyer of Worlds, which is Pennywise.
I just think that kids beating up fear itself is just... I just don't see that happening. And I thought that was just a bit silly that, like, a bunch of kids can kill this thing. Like, isn't he supposed to be a god? And that's why I quite liked how in this one, he did look scared and he looked vulnerable. And Bill also says, I want to starve you. And maybe that's the only way to do it, just to not be scared. But then how are you never scared ever again? I mean, that's... Anyone who gets scares, he eats. Like... And I don't, so...
Well, people being scared is the equivalent of him having vinegar on his chips or something. Like, I'm sure he still eats, but he's like, I prefer it when you taste so much better when you're scared.
Yeah.
I think that's a quote somewhere.
I think we're pretty much close to the end. I'd just like to add two things. For Stephen King aficionados, there is a series that is being produced by Hulu very soon called Castle Rock.
Oh.
And it's kind of... what you've got as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's a Stephen King verse.
Oh,
okay. So it's also produced by Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams' company.
Okay.
And many of King's characters and stories intertwined into this fictional character, which is also the name of the Castle Rock Entertainment Company.
That does ring a bell.
Yeah, you see it. One of the founders is Rob Reiner, who adapted Misery and...
I love Misery.
Stand By Me.
That's how Stand By Me is one of my favourite films.
It's also...
R.I.P. River Phoenix.
One of King's favourite... Yeah, he really loved the adaptation. But he also made... this is Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner. When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride. A Few Good Men.
He's made some good films.
Amazing. The Princess Bride, I loved the book. The film was a bit strange, but was good.
Few Good Men is very, very, very good.
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to add, one last thing. I think I had this idea the other day because someone followed me on Instagram.
I saw this.
Yeah, so I think it made me think that we could talk about some jobs, professions of the industry. The guy who liked me is called Brooke Palmer, and he is a still photographer, and he worked on It and Jigsaw.
Amazing.
Yes. So what is a movie industry still photographer?
I would imagine that the still photographer is in charge of capturing the best image to sell the movie. Because that's got to be a different job from just capturing, like a screenshot from the movie.
Yeah, because, that's right. They actually recreate scenes. Like after there's just been shot, they recreate the scenes.
That sums up in a picture.
So you have, and they
that's
also take...
That's an amazing job.
Like behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like the director pointing at things, so it makes it's important. Yeah, I'm pointing and stuff. Just like Isolani, which will be featured in our Rain Dance special by R. Paul Wilson. Yes. The guy who came for the behind the scenes is actually also a magician friend who works with models in Taiwan, and
lovely.
He came to shoot the whole thing. So. Wow. R. Paul Wilson, I'll talk a bit about him in Rain Dance, but you will have heard about him with BBC Three and The Real Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Yann, do you want to pull some strings that we could maybe get Paul as a guest?
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. He's a great, talented guy.
Have a filmmaker as a guest? I don't know.
No.
Well,
I don't.
Yeah.
I'll pull strings. I
Maybe
don't
we
know.
could
I
have
don't
him.
know.
Maybe we'll have him in the future. Maybe a couple of years down the line or something. I'd like to have sat down and have a chat with Paul about stuff.
Yeah, chat.
Maybe once Isolani gets a major release, we could have a chat with
probably.
Paul about the film, because we'll have plenty to talk about.
Isolani is just entering the festival circuit, so you won't see that in a while. But
All three of us are going to see it at Rain Dance.
Yes. 24th.
just learned that. Yeah,
Hopefully.
Yeah. But you can see because The Real Hustle is kind of a series when there's him playing the scam artist, and there's the girl playing the sexy swindler, and there's this other guy, Alex, and they they display scams, and it's an amazing show for gullible people, so you don't fall for those scams.
Very entertaining show.
On YouTube, you've got pretty much the whole thing. There was never any official DVD release for some reason, but you've got everything on YouTube, even on the official channel. Actually, it's just bits on the official channel. Yeah, but if you want to see Paul in his filmmaking things, there is the very short The Magic Box on YouTube.
A lovely show.
There's Catriona in there, who has a big part in Isolani too.
And then Conman, his other...
Conman? She was also in Conman?
No, she wasn't. I was just segueing into the
Oh,
next.
yeah, Conman. Yeah, Conman was his... I think it's his first feature length after The Magic Box. Conman just appeared. Now he's available on Amazon.
Part of Prime, so
Yes.
if you have Prime, you can watch it for nothing.
Indeed, because it's not always that case,
Yeah.
but it is part of Prime Video, yeah.
So, to wrap up this podcast, before I ask the question, I want to ask another question.
Mm-hmm.
Anouk, Yann, Skarsgård or Curry?
Skarsgård.
I can't hit curry. It's just my belly is just awful. Skarsgård. Well. I'll.
Not because I hate curry, but just because I enjoyed his style more.
Well, it was one of the last one, as I said earlier, to actually scare me before Army of Darkness. So I would go with Curry, and I saw him when I was a child. I was just, so yeah, Curry.
At the moment, for scariness, Skarsgård. For overall character, Curry. But because this is a two-parter, Skarsgård might impress me. Because my favourite scene, which I hope they do in part 2, is Tim Curry in the library. Is my favourite scene in it. Because Tim Curry is just so ridiculous.
It's very good.
Also, I like my impression of Tim Curry.
That's amazing. With the swirly thing?
Yeah, the rattling thing.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm going to say Curry. Because also I'm saying Curry because hopefully he can come back for the second part, which I would absolutely love. Please.
Yeah, I would love to see him do it again.
I would love to see him.
The film didn't do you any justice.
Even if he's just in like a nightmare sequence, just briefly.
That'd be nice. Good idea, Adam.
I said he refused, but it's just in the trivias. I don't know. Actually.
I think if it does well, they might ask him again to come back. I think he might go, I'll come back for maybe something, which I hope he does because I really enjoyed him. So
that is it.
That's it.
Yeah,
so
that's
And that was it.
that leaves
That was it.
that leaves us with the final question. Anouk, Yann, was it 2017 Chapter 1 good, bad, or just plain standard? Yann?
It was good.
Anouk?
Good. It was good. It was very good. It was very good. It was amazing.
And in the voice of Tim Curry, it was good. You'll float too, kid. You want to buy a balloon? Want to see a good movie? I've turned into Stan Lee. You want to see it? You want to see a good movie? Go see it, even though I'm not in it. That's the end of It episode. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again.
This is the start of Horror Month. Next week is Anouk's favourite horror film or most influenced as a child, which is Nosferatu.
Oh, my favourite.
So stay tuned for that.
Please do.
So we were
Adam.
Anouk.
and Yann. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. See you in part 2.